Right, so this evening we are looking at defending against one-note trump. So specifically, when the opponents open a one-note trump bid, a defence to a one-note trump opener is kind of its title, if you will. It's a potentially, although you don't have to be, a potentially agreeable convention between the two of you to play a specific bid, meaning a specific type of hand, to defend against one-note trump. Now, because we are playing in England, well, Britain, we play a weak no trump, which means one no trump opening is 12 to 14 points. The rest of the world, bar New Zealand, I think, basically everyone but us, plays one no trump opening as 15 to 17. So they play it as what's known as a strong no trump system. Because we play a weak no trump system, it means we open one no trump more frequently. You more often get hands with 12 to 14 points than you do 15 to 17, just based on odds. So we open one no trump a lot more frequently than those who play a strong no trump system. Now, the beauty of opening one no trump is that it removes the entirety of the one level. So it is both an opening bid, which is constructive in the sense that you're communicating with your partner, but also semi-preemptive, because you're cutting out all of the one level for the opponents. So it's quite an effective bidding system, especially at match-pointed pairs, when often it's a part score battle. Not always, sometimes one side has more points than the other. But if you are in a part score battle, removing the one level from the opponents can be a very effective thing to do. So a one no trump opener is often overlooked as a preemptive bid, when really it's a kind of a pseudo preempt in a sense. It is an opening hand, but it is quite preemptive in its nature. So what is often needed against this kind of semi-preemptive bid is a defence. If they open a weak 2, you need a way of dealing with it. If they open a weak 3, you need a way of dealing with it. One no trump is sort of along that line. It's not strictly preemptive because it does have an opening hands with the points, but only just. So it's kind of a bit of a preemptive bid. So you need a way of dealing with one no trump openers. The one no trump opener being weak means you open it all the time, which means defending against it is something you need to be able to do, especially at match-pointed pairs when it's all about he who bids first kind of thing. So defending against a weak no trump or defending against a one no trump opener, you can agree kind of several different systematic things. Now, I'm going to list the 3 most popular or common systems, but you are not limited to these 3. You can do your own research if you will. The ones I haven't mentioned on here that are also fairly common are multi-Landy, which is an extension of Landy, more complex, Cappelletti, Becker, another one I'm forgetting. Anyway, there are lots of different systems you can agree. 2 clubs means X, Y, and Z, 2 diamonds means X, Y, and Z. I'm going to talk about the most common 3, what I think is the best, and then let you make your decision as to what you want to play. I'm going to give you kind of the best case and the worst case scenario for all 3. So, starting with the most simplistic way, natural defence to one no trump. So if the opponents open one no trump, whatever you bid is the suit you've got. Hooray, easy. I don't actually have to do much talking on that because it means if you bid 2 clubs, you have clubs. If you bid 2 diamonds, you have diamonds. So the merits for the natural system, if I remove that because we don't know what it is, we do know what it is now. The merits for a natural system are A, you won't forget it because they bid it and they mean what they put on the table. B, simplicity. You won't ever get confused and tangled in the bidding because you will be fairly used to dealing with your partner bidding a natural bid. And 3, frequency. You can bid any suit you are dealt. If you're dealt clubs, you can bid clubs. If you're dealt diamonds, you can bid diamonds. The downside is inflexibility. It's not very flexible if you are dealt more than one suit. If you're dealt 5 diamonds and 4 hearts, for example, you can only bid your diamonds because bidding hearts would show 5 cards. Or 5 spades and 4 clubs. You can only bid spades. So when a natural system definitely has its merits because it's quite straightforward, there's no complexity, you don't take any space up in your brain. It's a simple case of whatever suit I'm dealt, if I can overcall it, I will. If I can't, I will either pass or double. That's it, basically. Remember, double of one no trump is penalties, says you've got 16 plus points. And I should state, double supersedes these bids. So if you are dealt one of these fancy conventional bids, but with a hand that has, let's say, 17 points, you should double instead, because penalties supersede. You want to put them under pressure. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So essentially, natural system, you don't have to do anything fancy. You respond as if your partner has overcalled over anything. So if it was 1 spade, 2 clubs, or 1 no trump, 2 clubs, a natural defence to 1 no trump says that those 2 hands are not different at all. Okay, so if you like, simplicity is an up, inflexibility is a down. So there's the trade-offs. The next most straightforward one is Landy. Now, in fact, I'm not going to rub it out. Landy is a conventional agreement where you sacrifice one of your natural bits. So Landy keeps 2 spades, 2 hearts and 2 diamonds all as natural bits. So Landy basically says we're going to do away with one of our natural bits so we can play some conventions. So it's a bit like a halfway house between full convention world and simple kind of natural world. Landy agrees that the 2-club overcall over 1-no trump is something special. So you sacrifice being able to bid 2 clubs naturally, and therefore it needs alerting. Now, of course, obviously you need to agree with your partner whether you're doing X, Y, or Z. You can't do some on some hand, some on the other. You can't bid Landy and then Asptro and then Natural. It has to be one or the other. You have to agree the language, if you will. So what Landy says is that 2 clubs is a special bid, and 2 clubs says, in Landy world, 2 clubs is both majors. So the idea behind this is when you are dealt a 5-card major and a 4-card major, overcalling naturally is somewhat inefficient, because if you were dealt 5 hearts and 4 spades, it might be that spades should be trumps, or maybe it should be that hearts are trumps. I mean, maybe neither should be trumps and you shouldn't be bidding. But strictly speaking, when you have a 5 and a 4, in the majors especially, you are less certain about what suit you want as trumps, especially given that you've got the majors. So what Landy looks to solve is the problem where you have specifically both of the majors. Landy doesn't solve when you have 5 hearts, 4 diamonds, because they don't care about the diamond suit. They only care about the heart suit in that instance. So it's kind of a major-orientated bid. So you lose the ability to bid clubs naturally, and instead you agree that 2 clubs is both majors. So what is both majors? You have 4-4, 5-4, 5-5. What's the minimum shape? For me, others play different, but for me, you want to be 5-4 as a minimum. 5-5 is obviously better, 6-5 is obviously excellent, but 5-4 is a minimum because then you can fall back on your 5-card suit should things not go the way you wanted, i.e. you're going back to natural bidding, if you will. So what Landy looks to do is get more of the majors involved and sacrifice bidding clubs. That's what Landy looks to do. Now, responding to Landy, if your partner bids 2 diamonds, 2 hearts or 2 spades, it's natural, so it's normal, nothing fancy. If your partner bids 2 clubs, they're suggesting they have both majors, at least 5, at least 4. You don't know whether it's 5 hearts, 4 spades, or 5 spades, 4 hearts, or 5-5, or 6-5, but you assume it's 5-4, and you don't know which way round. So the responses for that are fairly, I think, straightforward. Responding to Landy, 2 hearts or 2 spades essentially says, of the choices, I prefer this one. So I have 4 hearts and 2 spades, so I'm choosing hearts. Or I have 3 spades and 1 heart, so I'm choosing spades. It doesn't necessarily mean you have a fit. Your partner might have 5 of the one you're short of and 4 of the one you're long in, long being longer. So 2 of any major just says, I prefer X to Y. So because your partner is naming specific suits, I have hearts and spades, you choose your favourite. If you don't have a favourite, what bid could you use, do you think? What bid have I missed off? 2 diamonds. So 2 diamonds, given that this bid shows majors, this 2 diamond here does not need to be diamonds because your partner can't have diamonds. So it doesn't make sense for 2 diamonds to be natural by the responder. So 2 diamonds essentially says you choose. I.e., you don't mind. That could be you don't mind because it's going to be miserable in either suit, or it could be you don't mind because you've got 3 of each, or 4 of each in a very nice world. So, responding to Landy, if you prefer hearts to spades, or spades to hearts, you bid that suit. If you don't have a preference, you've got 3 of them and 3 of them, or 4-4 or 2-2, you don't mind, bid 2 diamonds essentially passes it back to your partner and lets them decide which suit to bid. Essentially, bid your 5-card suit partner. If it comes back to you and you don't have a preference either, which I can't remember ever happening to me, but if you're 5-5 and they're equal length as well, just pick your best one. I mean, it won't ever happen to you really, but you'll normally have a favourite. 5-4, you'll normally have a longer one. So this bid just says, actually I want you to bid your 5-card suit because I have no preference as to which major. Keyword there being preference, that doesn't mean you like both majors, it means you don't mind which major your partner chooses. So in theory, it could be 1-1 in the majors, in theory, but that would be obviously a very sad world. You always have the option to pass conventional bids, but on your head be it. If you pass 2 clubs because you've been dealt 7 clubs and no hearts or spades, because you actually think clubs is a good idea, Fair enough, but your partner is not expecting you to pass. They're trying to tell you to bid a major, so that's a radical decision to make. You always have that alternative if you want to pass, but I want to stress, passing an artificial bid is exceptionally rarely the right thing to do. So really, you should be picking a major. So essentially, Landy, you pick or you bid their major. They're your options. It's kind of a single, one-dimensional artificial bid. I have majors, do you like them or not? Is what Landy looks to do. You can, if you have a good hand and a good major fit. Don't forget, of course, they've only promised 4 cards in each major. They're 5-4, but you don't know whether it's 4 in them or 4 in them. So you can only assume 4 in each major, because they might have 5 in the one you aren't bidding. But you can, if you want to, jump to 3 hearts or spades. That would essentially say, I have a fit, which is at least 4 cards, and a decent hand. Sort of, that's approaching invitational world, 10, 11, 12-ish, somewhere in that region. Doesn't happen very often. Almost always you're just saying you choose, or I like this but I'm not interested in game. There is a potential you're interested in game, because there could be 12 there and nothing there, or close to nothing there, so you could have a game on, but it's not very frequent. Yes, Eric?
Is there a minimum point score in decent sand then?
Normal overcalling points, so 10-ish.
10.
The more shape you've got, the more flexible you can be, so 5-5 I would go down to about 7 or 8. But yeah, just a normal overcall. They won't have 16 because they would have doubled in preference. So it's sort of 10 to 15, which is about what a normal overcall is anyway. But suit quality, as ever, is everything. So if you've got 9 but you like your suits, be alright kind of thing. As responder, you can jump, but it's rare. So I wouldn't worry / commit too much brain power to that. It's more a case of remembering 2 diamonds says you choose because I don't care.
Sorry,
Yes.
I didn't catch. How many hearts or spades do you need in order to respond hearts and spades?
You at the 2 level, you just prefer. So you might have 2 of one and 1 of the other, for example, because you're forced. But in the 3 level, because you're choosing to be optimistic, you want at least 4, because you're choosing a kind of positive bid there. So the 2 level is a kind of a negative thing, saying I prefer spades to hearts.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you like spades.
Yeah.
Whereas 3 spades, you definitely do like.
So you might just have 1 spade and no hearts at all?
In theory, yes, but that will happen to you exceptionally rarely, because that means you've got like 6 clubs and 6 diamonds.
Oh, yes.
It's super rare, super rare. Normally you're kind of 2, 3
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yes.
Does this work 4th in hand as well as 2nd?
Yes, good point, yes. 1-no trump, pass, yes, you still have your conventional stuff on. If it was 1-no trump, pass, some kind of bid, transfers or stamen, then you're in natural world, whatever system you play. Yes?
Dom, what if there's an overcall by some?
So if it was 1-no trump convention here, and then they bid, let's say they bid 2, I mean it'd be
2
unusual.
diamonds somebody bid to me the
2
other
diamonds,
day.
okay, fine. Fine. In that world, again, this is a partnership agreement, but what I would play is 2 hearts or 2 spades is I prefer this one,
Yeah.
and double is I want you to bid your longer. So essentially double replaces their bid. If they bid 2 hearts or spades, that would be highly unusual because they're showing the majors, so for them to bid a major, I would imagine that's a conventional bid. And then you're into another layer because then double shows you like that suit if their bid's conventional. If their bid is natural, double says do something partner, and bidding says I like this one, and pass says I don't want to do anything. Sort of goes back to normal bidding, if you will. If they do some kind of big bid, like 3 diamonds or 3 clubs, then obviously either bid or not, depending on whether you like your hand and the fact your partner's got majors.
And presumably that's going to be based on points as well.
Points, shape, how much you like your majors, all that jazz, yeah. So the upshot to Landy is that you can get involved with both majors or either major. The downside is you lose the ability to bid clubs naturally. So if you want to bid clubs, you either suck it up and pass, or you bid 3 clubs. But to bid 3 clubs, you really want a 6-card suit. Well, you need a 6-card suit of good quality because you're now bidding a level higher. So the downside is that you lose kind of some natural elements to your bidding. The upshot is your hands become more flexible, especially when you're dealt the majors. So if you like, kind of natural is the least flexible, most straightforward. Landy is quite flexible with the majors, but some complexity to it. And Asptro, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, is the most complex but the most flexible. So there's kind of layers, if you will, difficulty grades versus kind of reward for taking up all your brain space. Okay, so just to recap, Landy, 2 clubs is both majors, diamonds, hearts and spades are natural. 2 diamonds by responder to the 2 club bid says you pick, I don't mind which major, A bid of a major says I prefer this major. I'll do a little example because it's a good question you're raising because you kind of might be worried about it.
Yeah.
So let's do the absolute, bare minimum, if you will. So firstly, playing natural. Obviously, I'm going to cover Asptro in a minute, but playing natural, you would bid 2 hearts, essentially suppressing your spade suit. This is why natural is somewhat inflexible because you can't represent a hand that is not necessarily only about one thing. The upshot is you don't have to remember anything. So natural would bid 2 hearts. You either have a heart fit or you don't. Tough, and you might have missed a spade fit. Landy says you could bid 2 clubs, which shows at least 5-4 in the majors. So in the world where you bid 2 clubs, your partner must alert it. If they don't, you're headed for a bad time. Assuming South passes, then if West were to bid 2 diamonds, well, firstly, if West were to bid 2 hearts or 2 spades, you would just trust them that they've bid the right thing and pass. If they bid 2 diamonds, that says, I don't mind. You choose, because I don't mind what majors you've got. I'm 2-2 or 3-3 or something like that. So assuming that North passes, again, if anything gets involved, you then revert to natural bidding. So if North somehow comes in with some kind of takeout double, you don't have to bid if you don't want to, that kind of jazz. East, therefore, now has to bid because 2 diamonds is artificial. So they can't pass 2 diamonds, so they have to choose their favourite. Their favourite's not based on the strength, but it's based on the length. So therefore you would bid, what? 2 hearts. And you have essentially reverted to a natural overcall, having had the chance of being able to find a spade fit. That's the theory behind Landy, is that you have a chance of finding a major fit. If your partner asks you, you just bid your natural overcall anyway. Which is why I like it to be 5-4, so you always have a 5 to fall back on, essentially. Okay? So I imagine in this bidding, now West is going to pass, shrugging their shoulders as to whether they like hearts or not is by the by. You were going to bid on this hand, so you're in it now. If they're 1-1 in the majors, great, you're going to have a miserable time. If they're 3-3 in the majors, good, you're going to have a nice time. Okay? So if they get involved, bid whatever you bid naturally, double replaces the artificial bid, basically. But it's partnership agreement. Okay?
Would you only use Landy if your points were in the majors?
I've done that to make it look nice.
Yeah.
You don't have to have that. I've got the power of the board, so I put a perfect hand on there. You want good suits, really. I mean, not vulnerable, you might kind of stretch a bit, but you want good suits, just like ever in the overcall. If I move that queen down there, I mean, yes, the hand has worsened, but I'd still do it, just because it's most likely to find your correct playing spot, wherever that is. If you move the king down as well, it's starting to get a bit dodgy now, isn't it? As ever with these conventional bids, you can always revert to natural bidding. So if you don't like 2 clubs being both majors, you can just bid your hearts. If you had 6 really good hearts and 4 really poxy spades, you can bid 2 hearts if you want to. If you just want to play in hearts, that's fine. Okay? Happy-ish?
What did you say if West had a strong hand, if you were looking to sort of go beyond?
Well, there are two ways to do that. They jump in whichever major. They
Yeah.
can go all the way to game if they know game's on, which is rare because they would need about 15-ish to be
Yeah.
certain of game. If they're even stronger still, there's not really likelihood of a slam given that you've got an opening hand against you.
Oh, no.
So West is either jumping in a major or bidding 2 diamonds and then raising whatever major. They could be 3-3 wanting to bid game in whichever one partner's got 5 of, for example.
Mhm.
So you could bid 2 diamonds, they bid 2 hearts, and then you bid 4 hearts, for example. So you can use the 2 diamond bid and then raise it if you wish, or you can just jump straight away if you've got 4 of either major. Jump to 3 being invitational, jump to 4 being game going. Okay? Happy-ish? So essentially, natural is, they're all natural. Landy is, this is artificial with both majors, and these 3 are natural. Okay?
Are you using a losing trick count in there at that point of assessment by West?
It's difficult to say so because you don't know how many losers East got exactly because they've only
Right.
promised a 10 count rather than an opening hand. If you assume East has got 7 losers, you will be ballpark correct. But there are hands you can create where they will have 8 losers. So it's more about your points. And I appreciate I don't like points normally, but points are a good guideline because you can't nail them down to 7 losers. It will frequently be 7 losers though,
Right.
very frequently. Because 5-4 with 10 points is very close to an opening hand, isn't it? Which is their minimum. So 7 losers is about right. Okay? Right. So, given that we've got kind of, you can see where I'm going with this, they're all natural, suddenly that one's conventional. Asptro kind of goes one step further and it makes both of the minor bids artificial and both the major bids remain natural. So if you like, you go further into the rabbit hole of artificial bids. The idea behind Asptro is your flexibility goes up even more. You can bid all sorts of shapes of hands, but the complexity goes up, so there's a price to playing Asptro. Now, as a kind of a bit of a spoiler, my preference is Asptro because of the flexibility of being able to bid. The downside is that you have to remember all of the more conventional things. So I understand the desire for anyone else who wants to play natural or wants to play Landy. Landy's like dipping your toe in, natural's like not even putting your swim shorts on, and playing at Asptro is going in, right? So I understand the desire to not completely commit to artificial stuff. So if you have decided, well, I would recommend you listen to me, but if you want to play natural or Landy, I don't think that's a bad convention at all. If I did, I wouldn't talk about it. But my preference is Asptro, but I am going to give you the free choice to play whatever you want. As I say, there are advantages to all of the systems, of which I think Asptro has the most merits, but that's up to you to decide. So what Asptro looks to do is instead of just being able to bid, you have both majors or I have this suit, Asptro looks to show a major and another suit in any combination. So instead of just hearts and spades, which is Landy, or natural, diamonds is diamonds, hearts is hearts, Asptro sacrifices both clubs and diamonds as natural bids. And what you get for that is clubs represents a major and another suit, and diamonds represents the other major and another suit. So you can deal with any two suit combinations apart from clubs and diamonds. So you can deal with any suit combination that has a major and another suit. That could be both majors. So you can deal with hearts and clubs, hearts and diamonds, hearts and spades, spades and clubs, spades and diamonds, spades and hearts. That's what Asptro looks to deal with, but as I say, you've got complexity for that. So what Asptro states is that two clubs and two diamonds are both artificial bids, and therefore they need alerting. Two clubs is hearts and another, and two diamonds is spades and another. I've written anno with a dot, so I can't remember the right another, but you get the idea. So, essentially, you sacrifice another natural bid. Notice how we're sacrificing the minor bids as natural bids. That's because, as ever, we are obsessed with the majors. So we're sacrificing two clubs as natural and sacrificing two diamonds as natural to be able to deal with suit combinations. So, following on from the theory of Landy, Asptro kind of follows in that vein, where it wants to be at least 5, at least 4. But what Asptro says is you can be 5-4 in any two suits you want, except clubs and diamonds, because they anchor to hearts or spades. So two clubs is I have hearts and another suit, and I'm 5-4. Two diamonds says I have spades and another suit, and I'm 5-4. At least 5, at least 4. Okay? So essentially, you can deal with any two suits, as I say, except for clubs and diamonds. So you can overcall with 5 diamonds and 4 spades, with the potential of finding a spade fit, which is the real up for Asptro. Because if you find a spade fit when you've got 5 diamonds, those who aren't playing Asptro will be playing in diamonds, not spades, which is a real winning thing if you're playing Asptro. And those who are playing Landy would miss that as well. So the upshot really is you find major fits more. Finding major fits more is winning bridge. So as long as you can deal with the conventional stuff at the side of it, finding major fits more should mean that you will come out on top. The price is you have to remember things. So I'm going to talk now about the conventional agreements you have to have in place to deal with the fact your partner has spades and any other suit, or hearts and any other suit, because you don't know what they've got now, so it's more complex. Okay? But basically the principle is that anchors to hearts and that anchors to spades. I've only ever come across the word anchor, well the verb anchor in bridge, when it's specifically to do with Asptro. I don't really know why, but it essentially means you pin anchor to it. So if you bid clubs, you have hearts. If you diamonds, you have spades. The way I remember that, if you like little tricks to remember things, clubs are round, hearts are round, diamonds are sharp, spades are sharp. That's the way I remember it. Well, I initially did. Now I remember it because I've done it so much. But that's a silly thing that now I've said that. Yes, you laugh, but you will now remember that because they're rounded, it anchors to the rounded suit. That's the way I remember it anyway. It's up to you. The Asptro bid shows at least 5, at least 4, but you don't necessarily have 5 in your anchor suit. You might have 4 of your anchor suit, in this case hearts, in this case spades, and 5 of another suit. You might be 4 spades, 5 diamonds, for example. So, the bid directly above the Asptro bid, so if you remember from Landy, 2 clubs, 2 diamonds says you bid your 5-card suit. The same thing applies in Asptro. 2 clubs, 2 diamonds says you bid your 5-card suit, which may or may not be the suit I already know about. So 2 clubs being hearts and another suit. The suit directly above the Asptro says, tell me what your 5-card suit is. So that means that West does not like hearts. If they bid 2 clubs showing at least 4 hearts and 5 of another, or at least 5 hearts and 4 of another, you can only promise 4 hearts though, can only guarantee 4 hearts. If West had hearts, they would bid hearts, wouldn't they? So that bid over there just is a relay bid which says, tell me what your 5 is. I want to know what your 5-card suit is, which may or may not be hearts. Same thing here, 2 diamonds, showing spades and another suit. The bid directly above that, which is 2 hearts, says, tell me what your 5 is. The beauty about Asptro is that it always leaves a bid in between the suit you're bidding and the suit you actually have. You're bidding clubs, which shows hearts, so diamonds is the relay. You're bidding diamonds, which shows spades, so hearts is the relay. So if your partner does have a 5-card major, let's say they bid 2 clubs with 5 hearts, 4 diamonds, you bid 2 clubs, they bid 2 diamonds, you bid 2 hearts, which shows 5 hearts. You're back to natural, in a sense. You bid 2 diamonds with 5 spades, 4 clubs. You bid 2 diamonds, they bid 2 hearts, you bid 2 spades. 5 spades. It asks for your longer suit, not your other suit. Very important you recognise that, because I have seen that mistake made. 2 clubs shows hearts and another suit. 2 diamonds, well, they don't like hearts, so they must want my other, is the logical theory, but that's not what they're saying. They're saying they don't have a natural heart fit. They're asking for your 5-card suit, which could still be hearts. If you've shown hearts and another, you have only promised 4, because they know you might have 4 hearts and 5 of another. Okay? So when it's directly above, it's a relay bid, says, tell me your 5-card suit, please, whatever that is. Okay? If they don't bid the suit directly above your bid, which by the way is the most frequent thing they do, instead they will either agree your suit you've shown, or bid a suit of their own, which is natural. If they bid 2 clubs, West can bid 2 hearts, 3 hearts, or 4 hearts, which is I like hearts, I really like hearts, or we're in gaming hearts. And 2 diamonds, 2 spades, 3 spades, or 4 spades are the same. You're promising 4, so if they have 4, they can just agree whatever suit you've got. If they have their own suit that they feel they really need to mention, they can bid that suit naturally, but notice they can't bid hearts naturally over a spade Asptro, and they can't bid diamonds naturally over a heart Asptro. Just be aware, because you might get distracted by a 7-card diamond suit with this hand. You bid 2 diamonds, they bid 3 clubs, you bid 3 diamonds, they bid 3 hearts, and you start arguing with one another. As ever with rules after an overcall, if you don't like what your partner's doing, try not to argue. You should be bidding your own suit as long as you can tolerate their suit. Because if you don't like yours, you can be damn sure they won't like yours. So you end up just arguing with one another. So what I would do if I really didn't like either of their suits is I would just choose the least bad thing. But the idea isn't that you end up in messes. The idea is that you can try and find fits. That's the theory. Okay, so the immediate relay over an Asptro bid says, tell me your 5-card suit, which may or may not be the one you already have told me about. So in this instance, 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts says, yeah, I've got 5 hearts. So therefore, West knows that there is a 4-card suit somewhere else. If the relay gets completed with, well, I've already told you about this, but I do have 5 of the one I've anchored to. There is a potential where you don't mind any suit apart from the one they've got 5 of. So let me just do an example. I'll rub those off. Let me do an example of responding hand. The Asptro hands, as the person who's Asproing, it's more straightforward. You just kind of bid the one you have. So if they bid, let's say, 2 diamonds, I appreciate I'm going to construct this hand to make it do something. Kind of have a point to it. So, mono trump from north, your partner bids 2 diamonds, which is spades and another suit. Okay? Again, I'm assuming we're playing Asptro. Don't mind if you don't want to, after I've done all this spiel. South passes, let's say. So we're going to bid 2 hearts, which says, what is your 5-card suit? You are crossing your fingers big time that their 5-card suit is not spades. Because if their 5-card suit is spades, that is not good for us, is it? However, if their 5-card suit is spades, we know there is a fit somewhere else, don't we? Because they have at least 5, at least 4. Again, another advantage to not playing natural bidding, you can kind of glean more information from the hand by playing these artificial bids. So, East comes back with, sure enough, 2 spades. Statistically speaking, that's their most likely bid. They're more likely to have 5 spades than any other suit. So, in theory, we could just shrug our shoulders and go, well, Aspro's not gained as anything, we're going to have to play in a 5-1 fit, tough. However, that would be a bit silly because we know there is a fit somewhere, isn't there? There is a fit, we just don't know where it is. We need their 4-card suit. So if we need their 4-card suit, you relay again. 2 no trumps. So essentially, you go, no, not them. That's no good to me. Next. Now, I want to say this doesn't happen very often, but you can relay twice. What's your 5-card suit? Okay, that's no good. What's your 4-card suit? And then you will have learned everything about the hand. Downsides to doing that, you are at the 3 level. Guaranteed you're at the 3 level. You can't do it where you're not. But you will, in theory, be playing in a better spot. So if our partner is 3 clubs, 3 diamonds, or 3 hearts now, in theory that is a much better contract than 2 spades was. Yes, we're a level higher, but we at least have a trump fit. 4-4 is much better than 5-1, certainly a trick better than 5-1, you would like to think. Okay? So what Asptro gains here is that yes, you've missed your major fit, but everyone was going to miss their major fit here because there isn't one. So you've actually managed to play in a 4-4 fit, which is very difficult to do as the overcallers, because you can't bid 4-card suits as overcallers. So if you kind of get the relay response you don't want, which is, I must admit, this is quite specific, because you need to be okay with everything, but not the one they've come back with. You can relay again. You bid 2 no trumps, and they tell you they tell you their second suit. There are 5 of these and 4 of these. Okay, you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So you can relay twice if you want, but it doesn't come up very often. I just thought I'd mention it, just in case you get to a position where you're looking at this hand 3 weeks down the line and go, oh, Astpro isn't all that actually, because now we've missed everything. You can force them to tell you you're 4.
What's the second relay bid if you went 2 clubs?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm very glad you asked that. So if I invert the spades and hearts and say they did 2 clubs instead, there are 2 schools of thought here. First school of thought is, well, if the relay bid is always 1 above, does the relay bid continue to be 1 above when it goes like this? Is the relay 2 spades, or is the relay 2 no trumps? You can play it in either direction. What I play, for simplicity, I play that 2 no trumps is the what's your second suit bid. I play it as that, so it's straightforward. If you ever bid 2 no trumps after Asptro, what's your second suit? Because I'm not interested in your 5-card suit. That's the way I play. What that means is if you bid 2 spades here, it shows a natural spade suit. That's the way I play. You can play 2 spades as a relay and then 2 no trumps as some kind of game forcing bid. Honestly, it doesn't come up often enough for me to even be talking about it. But I personally play 2 no trumps after a relay as always what's your second suit, because I can't stand your first. That's what I play. Okay? But there are 2 options. Alright? Now, where Asptro is good, where it's much better than Natural and Landy, is I'll put some hands up. I've given you the negatives, if you like, the complexity to Asptro. Now I'll give you kind of a positive to it. Let's say they were your 2 hands. So playing Natural or Landy, East would bid 2 diamonds with that hand. Natural overcall, and that's not bad. You have a decent hand for partner, so 2 diamonds is not bad. But you have a spade fit. Landy will not find your spade fit, because Landy only deals with hands that have both majors. Asptro will find your spade fit, because you bid 2 diamonds with the East hand playing Asptro, and 2 diamonds shows spades and another suit, at least 4, at least 5 in either direction. So West knows immediately of a 4-4 spade fit. So you will actually get to a pretty decent game, East-West here, game in spades. You will lose 1 club, 1 heart, and 1 spade, depending on whether you finesse the Queen of Spades or not. Looks like North will have the Queen of Spades, so you should be making 10 or 11 tricks in spades, as long as things don't break horrendously, like diamonds 4-0 or spades 4-1 or something like that. It's a pretty decent game for East-West on here, but only in spades. So Asptro is the only one will ever find 4-4 fits like this, and it finds it like that. Because they've got 4, you promise at least 4, off you go in spades.
So would you expect West to immediately bid 4 spades?
Yes, based on their losers. Again, as I say, you a 7 loser? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There or thereabouts. I'm not talking about absolute rocket science. It's not bang on, but it's pretty close. Now, with Landy, you have both majors, you bid 2 clubs. With Natural, you have both majors tough, you bid your longer one. With Asptro, if you have hearts and spades, you could bid 2 clubs to show hearts and another suit, or 2 diamonds to show spades and another suit. So which way around is it? You could just go, I feel like clubs today, or I feel like diamonds today. But actually, you should have a structure as to how you choose which one is which. So, just to make things a little bit more complicated, you'll be glad to hear, you don't have to have King, Queen and Ace, Jack. For some reason I like those suits today. So let's imagine we are playing Asptro, we're trialling it out, it's a Monday afternoon, they have 1-0 trump and you get dealt that. You could anchor to hearts, or anchor to spades. Your instinct, I suspect, will be to anchor to spades. Because that's what you would do. Logically speaking, you anchor to the suit that you actually want to play in, which in this hand, although you don't know spades should be trumps, you sense spades more likely should be trumps. But actually, you anchor to your shorter major. The reason you do that is not just because whoever made Asptro was having a laugh and thought this will be funny, it's because it makes logical sense, and I'll explain why. If you anchor to your longer major, which will be the incorrect bid, if your partner asks for your longer suit, let's say they bid 2 hearts, which is, what's your 5-card suit? You're going to bid, what? What's your 5-card suit?
2 spades.
Spades. So you've said, I've got spades and another suit. I've got spades. You said the same thing twice. So instead of going from 5-4 described, you've gone from 4 plus spades to 5 spades. Whereas, if you anchor to your shorter major, and they ask, you've said, I've got hearts and another suit. They ask what your longer suit is. You bid spades, because that's your longer suit. You've now said, I've got 5 spades and 4 hearts. Do you see? So when you have both majors, you actually anchor to your shorter major, which is counterintuitive, but because it's so counterintuitive, you're likely to remember it, I hope. So 1-0 trump, 2 clubs, is hearts and another suit. If the suit is spades, they'll be longer than the heart. That's the official description that in theory you're meant to give when someone asks you what Asptro is. Hearts and another suit, the other suit is spades, the spades will be at least as good as the hearts, is the official terminology. But if you say Asptro, a lot of people will know what it is. And if you say hearts and another, no one's going to chop your head off. They're not saying spades should be longer, blah, blah, blah. So just to do a little recap, there's nothing wrong with natural bidding, and if you want to ignore the last half hour or whatever it was, fine, you can play natural bidding. What I've done with the hands is I've set them up so that there are ups and peaks and troughs, if you like, for playing natural, Landy and Asptro. So you're going to choose now, I hope, just choose between your partnership after I finish speaking, and just play that one, and then you can look afterwards. If we were playing natural, this would have happened. If we were playing Landy, this would have happened. Oh good, I'm glad we're playing Asptro. Or, oh, we're playing Asptro, we got in a right mess, we should have been playing natural. Or somewhere in the middle. Okay? But just a little recap. Landy, 2 clubs is both majors, everything else is natural. Natural, everything is natural. Asptro, these are both artificial, with the majors still being natural. That one shows hearts and another suit, that one shows spades and another suit. Any 2 suit combinations, as long as one of them is a major.